What sort of education did you have to go through?
So to obviously become a graded umpire, back in the day when I'd done it, scary thought considering I'm only 25 and I'm saying back in the day, but we had to do what was called the C badge, which is now the level 1, which consists of a 75 question theory test, which is open book. So you can have the rule book beside you, it's not a problem. Flick through that when you need. And once you've passed that, you would then be assessed for your practical ability. And at that stage, it's just a case of, can you do the basics? Do you know when to step in and when not? So once you've done that, you can then do certain levels of games. At that point, I was obviously still being mentored by my dad. There was a couple other boys within the club that were helping me. George Guy from East District, he was helping me out quite early on. He'd seen me as a player, and when I was playing for East District under-14s, he was actually the coach at that point.
Is that local legend, George Guy?
It is indeed.
No.
It is indeed. So I do have a lot of credit to give to George Guy, who started out my umpiring career, especially at the East District under-14s, and got me involved in the inter-districts as an umpire and stuff like that, where you would be coached by an umpire manager. So once I'd done that, one of the other guys that's well known within Scottish hockey, Ali Dick, he actually does all the National League appointments. He was part of my club, so I would umpire regularly with him, and he'd see my development. I would do quite a lot of veteran games as well on a Monday night, that he was the Fifers team manager or team coach, so he would be there and be able to provide tips and pointers to me. So it was just a constant coaching plan, basically evolving coaching plan to get me up to speed. And then one night on a Thursday night, my phone goes just after I'd finished school at the age of 14, and it is Mr. Dick himself, and he asked, what am I up to tonight? And I was like, well, nothing. I probably would have gone training, but apart from that, nothing. There was a rearranged National League game that needed to be umpired, and he didn't have anyone. He was on one end and he didn't have anyone for the other end, so he asked if I wanted to do it. Obviously, being a 14-year-old, absolutely elated at this fact that I've just been asked to do my first ever National League game, which I believe was National League 1 at the time as well, between ESM and Cala, which just shows how far back it might actually go, at Mary Erskine when they only had one pitch.
We can possibly take this opportunity, we can possibly tell our non-hockey player audience here that in hockey there are two umpires who basically run alternate L shapes up and down the pitch. So there's two umpires on the pitch all the time in hockey, similar to I think in basketball and netball. So I think, as you said, obviously the two umpires running L shapes. Normally to your right hand side, you'll control. You'll agree on an area of control, but it's sort of diagonal across the pitch, and you'll control one circle, and your colleague will mainly control the other circle. But you can give advice and help out when necessary in your colleague's circle. How helpful is as a 14-year-old in your first division game? How helpful is it to have perhaps a more experienced person?
It was absolutely amazing to have him, because it was someone I'd umpired with quite a lot. I knew what he was going to do. I could put my full trust into him, and he trusted me to some extent as well. He knew I would be able to do the job, and if I wasn't sure, then I would ask the question. And I think that's quite a key, that's quite a key aspect, trust in your colleague, because I'm pretty sure if it was anyone else, they might have thought, well, who's this boy? We've never seen him before in any of the National League things. He's only 14. Why is he here?
The players out there who have sons older than you at the time, you know?
Yes, aye, exactly. I think Ali had actually mentioned to the players and said, look, we're really struggling. This is his first ever National League game. I'm not going to let them ruin the game. If there's anything that could potentially change the outcome of the game, I will step in. And all the players were absolutely great with it. They didn't apply too much pressure on me. Obviously, frustration at times got the better of them. But once I proved my point that I could be there and I was capable of doing it, they got on with it. They tested me as you would with anyone new. See how much they can get away with. But once they realised, oh, you know what, this boy actually knows his stuff. And at the time, I was probably a little bit card happy. I hate to admit it. But yeah.
Well, back then, I think the green didn't mean anything, did it?
Yeah, green cards meant nothing back then, because we're talking a good 11 years ago now.
Now you get a rest and a water break. But
yeah, exactly. You get a lovely little reward for that now.